Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse, and in today's segment we're going to have a little discussion about what kills a nation and how a nation dies. If you have ever butchered livestock, or you've ever harvested a deer, basically if you've ever shot an animal and you make a brain shot, you'll note that depending on where you hit them, sometimes their little legs kick in the back. Those little legs, the nerve twitches, depending on whether or not you've really severed the brain cord on the animal. But once you hit them in the head, you know that they're pretty much dead. It's just the last little bit of resistance. And I think that that's where we're at. I do, as a nation. I didn't say local communities. Local communities are a different thing. I didn't even say states specifically, although if you're in Tennessee, you may have noticed in the papers today that our illustrious, wonderful leader, Bill Haslam, the governor, decided to do in classic Haslam fashion another flip-flop, and now he's all for Syrian refugees coming into the country. By the way, you can call this number right here and let that office know that you don't really appreciate flip-flops for political intrigue. Oh, by the way, Bill Haslam's another one of those folks who decided to join the NRA right before he ran for governor of Tennessee, and also made a campaign promise that he would support constitutional carry, and then he did a 180 on that one, and despite the fact that the Tennessee state legislature is very much pro-Second Amendment, we have a governor who is not. So that's what's happened in Tennessee this week. But folks, the things that kill a nation are corruption and injustice and a general disregard for law and order from the top down. And it starts from the top down. I know I have folks of different political persuasions here, including some people who would call themselves anarchists, who really live in a world based on computers and abstractions. Anarchy has never worked anywhere, right? But anarchy exists. It's a fundamental lack of law and order, and it exists primarily in the top parts of the government, not in the bottom. And we've seen this recently with Hillary Clinton and all of the back and forth, you know, with the clearly demonstrated corruption with the Clinton Foundation and with her and emails and this, that, and the other. It's like they're the amazing Teflon family. Nothing sticks to them. But what it really shows is that justice has wilted and has evaporated. And it reminds me of one of my plants right here. Hold on one second, I'll show you. You see that? This is what happens with neglect. This isn't, by the way, one of my fruit or my vegetable plants. No, this is a plant that I didn't water it. I didn't care for it. I didn't attend to it. And I didn't give it its due. And this is what happens to a country when the highest laws of the land are corrupted for political intrigue and for political gain. When justice is tossed aside, the nation's going to rot and it's going to die. And that's what's happening to us. I think that you're seeing this in many different ways. You're seeing this reflected definitely in our monetary policy. I was reading the Wall Street Journal today. Yes, I still do get the hard copies. And inflation isn't what they're wanting it to be. You know, the Federal Reserve hasn't figured out what they're going to do, and this, that, and the other. And it's just, it's ludicrous, guys. You know, we have money that is worth less and less and less. We have a federal government, for sure, that is corrupt from the top down. There's no way, in my opinion, of cleansing this outside of it going away. And that's the nature of the beast. You know, it's dying. This is the life cycle of a nation. I think people have this sort of illusion that because the United States historically has been blessed, when we abided by certain things, by the way, which we now no longer do. Historically, the United States has been blessed, but that does not mean that those blessings are going to continue in perpetuity without any sort of integrity on our part, by the way, as citizenry, right? It's up to both us and the government. But if you have corruption in either way, it's going to infiltrate, right, from the top or from the bottom. And we have an increasingly morally vacuous population. We have a government that doesn't see fit to ensure justice and ensure equal protection under the law and equal prosecution under the law. I believe there was a Navy vet, the commander-in-chief form or whatever, that was recently broadcast, and basically this retired Navy vet said, if I handled information, classified information like what you did, I'd be in jail and you get off scot-free. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing here. But this is the case. We have a rotting corpse of a nation here. The federal government is dying from a lack of following the law. Lawlessness is the law of the day. now, it seems. So what do we do? Ensure that you can fulfill your basic needs, food, water, and shelter as best as possible, and also self-defense. And I don't know if it's going to be self-defense from the government or from local cronyism or from retaliation from different political offices because you stand up. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know that you're going to be best suited if you are a capable marksman and you have the ability to defend yourself as best as possible. And going and plinking a little paper plate's not going to do it, guys. You got to know how to move and shoot, and you have to know how to fight. And this isn't just for the guys. Ladies, we have to know how to do this too, because they're not going to be around us all the time. We have to be able to ensure the protection of not only ourselves, but of our family and our dependent children and friends, etc. Okay, we have to be able to do that. But you are seeing the death throes of the nation. Make no mistake about that, guys. Whether it comes from a monetary locus point or it comes from a corruption at the federal level, I don't think that it has to be just one thing that sets off the dominoes. Like, this is just a growing, bubbling pot. Have you ever cooked pasta or beans too long? Like, you cover the pot, you cover the lid, and it just goes, and then all of those bubbles start to rattle the top, and then it just comes over. That's where we're at, I think. We have so much abuse of different powers that is unchecked. And I think it's up to the local peoples, the local governments, the local state legislatures, by the way. Tennessee, by the way, our state legislature is great. It's the governor that's the problem. And again, you feel free to call Governor Bill Haslam's office and let him know you don't particularly like flip-flops for political intrigue. Can you tell him a little steam about that? There's a darn good reason. The local and state governments are the best chance at redemption, I think, for a government in this nation. But the federal government is doomed, and it's going to continue to grow and grow and grow and consolidate power. That is the nature of power, is that it consolidates. And the anti-federalists knew this, and they wrote extensively about this and warned against the powers of the federal government. And I think that history will bail them out and prove them out as being correct. And only time is going to tell, of course, but I think that's where we sit for today. Folks, these are tempestuous times, and I don't think that being a quiet little mouse is going to necessarily affect the greatest amount of change. I think that we have people who have been, vocal, and we've tried to exercise, our ability to, and our rights to advocate for ourselves and to speak freely in the United States and speak against the corruption of our leaders. But it has fallen on deaf ears, and there's so much money lining the system right now that it's very difficult to redress grievances anymore. So I'm waiting for the time of reckoning. It's going to be coming upon us, whether it's because of our own lack of morality as a people, as a nation anymore, or it's because of the corruption from within the government. Who can tell the locus point? But this little tower of Jenga blocks is going to be coming down at some point. And I don't hope for it, I don't wish for it, but I'm a cause and effect thinker, and I see cause and no effect. And if you know history and you look at causes throughout history and what the effects have been of said causes, then you can pretty much see a pattern. So that's all I have for you guys. Prepare and be diligent about things as best as possible. And be vigilant. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.